We have all been there. The movie ends, your mind is still processing the emotional weight of what you just witnessed, and before you even leave your seat, your muscle memory takes over because you unlock your phone, you open letterboxd, you log the film, you debate whether it's a strong 3.5 or a weak 4 stars, and most importantly, you check to see if logging this pushes you past your friend's movie count for the year. Welcome to the modern era of cinephilia, where watching movies is no longer just a passive and private leisure activity, it's a game and it's a sport really. It has metrics, leaderboards, and seasonal events. So today we are going to analytically decode the gamification of cinema. We will look at how platforms like Letterboxd and phenomena like Oscar Deathracing have fundamentally rewired our brains for better or worse. We will look at how this compares to film nerds of the past and perhaps most terrifyingly, how modern filmmakers and studios know exactly what game we are playing and how they are using the cheat codes against us. To understand what cinephilia is today, we have to look at what it used to be. Historically, film clubs and societies like Cachets du Cinema crowds in the 1950s France or the underground basement screenings of the 70s were hyper-localized. Cinephilia was defined by the scarcity and physical community. You had to physically go to a smoky room or a niche video store to argue about Jean-Luc Godard or Satyajit Ray. The currency of those old film societies were deep, focused discussions. But today, the physical film club has been replaced by the digital town square. But the architecture of platforms like Letterboxd, IMDb, or even Film Twitter isn't just about discussion, it's about metrics. You see, gamification is the application of game design elements in a non-game context. For example, in cinema, it manifests itself as, let's say, the checkbox effect, where you are taking off the top 250 narrative list on Letterboxd, or even say social competitions, like competing with your friends to watch the most films in a year, or even seasonal quests like the 31 Days of Horror in October, or even the Oscar Death Race, where cinephiles speedrun every nominated film before the Academy Awards, treating screeners like Pokemon, you gotta catch them all. Now, as you can clearly see, the social context remains, but it has shifted from a shared physical experience to a shared metric-driven experience. Now, from a theoretical framework, let's look at the good side first, because gamification of cinema has led to an unprecedented democratization of film, as historically, film canon was dictated by a few gatekeepers, which were mostly older, white, male critics at major publications. But now the consensus is shaped by the masses, because you see, the gamified desires to complete these online lists pushes everyday viewers out of their algorithmic comfort zones. Because let's say someone wants to complete a global cinema challenge, and they might discover a 1960s Japanese new wave film, or even an obscure regional Indian indie film that they would have never watched otherwise. It gives several films a massive, organically grown global cult status because users effectively hype each other through communal logging and meme sharing. But there is a dark side to playing this game as well, because in philosophy, there is a concept developed by C.3. Newman called value capture. You see, value capture happens when our natural complex goals, like the nuanced aesthetic appreciation of art, are replaced by simplified artificial metrics. When you gamify cinema, the metric becomes the goal. You stop watching a movie to sit with its emotional resonance, but you watch it so you can log it. You start seeing people confessing online that they only watch short films at the end of the year to artificially inflate their films watched count. Furthermore, the social pressure leads to performative viewing, because reviews become less about engaging with the film's text and more about dropping a viral, one-life quip to farm likes. We consume cinema not as a text to be studied, but as a hurdle to be cleared so we can join the online discourse. The film is no longer the main event, the discourse is the main event. And here is where it gets truly fascinating, because modern cinema is incredibly self-aware of this gamified, chronically online cinephilia, and studios are actively structuring their films and marketing to exploit. Filmmakers know you are going to tweet about the movie the second it ends, so they engineer films to be memeable. Think of films like Bottoms or Megan, movies practically built in a lab to generate out-of-context clips for film Twitter. Or consider the cameo industrial complex. Marvel dropping insane cameos isn't just fan service, it's a mechanic designed to break the internet, forcing the gamified cinephiles to rush to the theater's opening weekend just to avoid spoilers and participate in the real-life social event. And the studios are trying to manufacture the organic social events we create. Like in 2023, the internet organically created Barbenheimer, a massive gamified double feature challenge born entirely from the community. But now look at December 18th of this year. Marvel's Avengers Doomsday and Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 3 are currently scheduled to release on the exact same day. The internet has already dubbed it Dunesday, and studios are observing our competitive double feature marathons and practically daring us to turn their box office battles into a spectator sport. They don't just want you to watch the movie, they want you to campaign for it. They want you to treat their intellectual property like it's your favorite sports team. But perhaps the most bizarre psychological side effect to this gamified cinephilia is something I like to call the rewatch guilt. Let's say it's a rainy Sunday afternoon. You're exhausted, your brain craves the warm cinematic hug of The Lord of the Rings or a classic 90s rom-com you have seen a dozen times. But as you reach for the remote, a tiny nagging voice in the back of your head whispers that, hey, you've watched this, you aren't making progress. Because in the gamified system, time is your primary currency, and rewatching a film doesn't yield any new XP. It doesn't increase your total film count of the year, it doesn't help you cross off a new box on the top 250 list, and this is value capture at its most insidious. We have allowed a digital ledger to make us feel actively guilty for seeking comfort in familiar art. When the metric becomes the master, the deeply human act of revisiting a beloved story, of noticing new details because you already know the plot, or simply letting a movie be a companion rather than a conquest, is suddenly framed as a waste of time. We stop treating movies as old friends and start treating them as conquered territories. And this brings us to the very architecture of this platform, the star rating system. On the surface, rating a movie out of 5 stars seems harmless, like it's a quick shorthand for your opinion. But from a film studies perspective, the compulsion to assign a numerical value to a piece of art is slowly driving analytical thinking to extinction. Think about it really. How do you quantify complex, contradictory human emotions into a neat half-star metric? If a movie is masterfully directed but deeply intentionally unpleasant to watch, like Requiem of a Dream or even Zone of Interest, does it get 5 stars for the craft or 1 star because it wasn't a fun Friday night watch? The star system inherently trains audiences to treat art the exact same way they treat a blender on Amazon. It flattens the cinematic experience into a binary consumer transaction like, was I entertained or was I bored? It conditions us to consume movies at entirely surface level value, like instead of wrestling with the film's messy themes, its political subtext, or its experimental editing, the viewer's brain is completely preoccupied with a mathematical calculation that, is this a 3.5 or a 4? And when we obsess over the score, we stop asking what the movie is trying to say, and we lose the beautiful, unquantifiable grey area where true cinema actually lives. Now, if you want to know exactly why tracking movies feels like a chore, we have to talk about the psychology, specifically a phenomenon called the Overjustification Effect. In psychology, there are two main types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation is when you do something purely because you love it, You watch a film because you want to be moved, entertained, or challenged. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is when you do something for an external reward, let's say money, a trophy, or in our case, social validation, followers, and an ever-increasing movies watched counter. The overjustification effect occurs when an external reward is introduced to an activity that you already intrinsically love doing. You would think adding a reward makes it better, right? Wrong. Studies show that when our brains start receiving extrinsic reward, like the dopamine hit of logging a film or getting likes on a witty review, our intrinsic motivator actually plummets. Your brain literally rewrites itself. It stops saying, I have watched this because I love cinema, and it starts saying, I am watching this because I need to log it. The reward eclipses the art. And to me, this is the ultimate tragedy of gamification of cinema. By turning our love for films into a public, measurable performance, we accidentally tricked our own brains into creating a hobby like a 9-to-5 job. It's why you feel that weird guilt when you rewatch a favorite movie of yours. Your brain isn't just getting that new logging reward, so it tells you you're wasting your time. The platform didn't just change how we talk about movies, it fundamentally hacked the psychology of why we watch them in the first place. And that's why you will see countless posts on Reddit where users have shared their experiences on going on challenges like watching a film every day for 1 year, where they essentially watch 365 movies for 365 days. And halfway through the challenge, most of them realize that they don't really enjoy consuming movies anymore, as it has become work for them instead of the escape. So is the gamification of cinema destroying our love for movies? Well, not necessarily, because games are fun, communities are vital, and the fact that millions of people are spending their free time dissecting lighting choices, writing reviews, and excitedly logging their 500 movie for the year is a testament to the enduring power of the medium. Cinema isn't dying, it's adapting to the language of the internet. But the next time the credit rolls, maybe leave your phone in your pocket for just a few minutes and let the movie exist in your head before you turn it into a metric. Be a player in the game of modern cinema. Just don't let the game play you. So what do you guys think? Do you find yourself watching movies just to log them? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this analytical deep dive, make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. And I guess I will see you on the next one.